Hello, friends. Welcome to Josiah Venture Stories. You will hear incredible stories of life change from the mission field and be inspired by the movement of God in Central and Eastern Europe. I'm your host, Gwen Gardner, and I am so excited to share today's conversation with you. Today on the show is Diana Anton, also known as DU. She lives and serves alongside her husband Bogdan in Bucharest, Romania. After years of discipling young women in Arad, Western Romania, DU moved across the country to join the Mission of God alongside a missional church called Missio Dei, where she met Bogdan. Bogdan comes from a nominal Orthodox background and came to know God through his local church's sports ministry in his early 20s. Their prayer, work, and desire are to bring Jesus to the young people in the southeastern part of the country through evangelism and discipleship. Bogdan is leading Edge in Romania, an outreach and discipleship ministry through sports, one of Bogdan's passions. DU is leading Life Springs International, investing her life in connecting, encouraging, and preparing women worldwide to impact their communities with the love of Jesus. In their 10th year of marriage, God answered a huge prayer request and gave them a miracle son, Adam Bogdan, for God breathed life into dust, life where there was no more hope or possibility. I'm so excited for you guys to hear DU's story today. DU, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yay! I am thrilled because I love you, DU, and I have just loved seeing your story over the years and being your friend. And I'm excited for people on the podcast to get to know you now.
Well, thank you so much, Gwen, and I love you, and you are very dear to me and to our family.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, so people need to get to know you. So would you like to share some just fun facts about yourself, or what do people need to know about you?
Well, I was telling you even before the podcast that there are some very different things about me. I actually asked Bogdan, my husband, what is peculiar or interesting about me? And he's like, wow, you have a list, babe.
Oh.
So one of the first things that came to mind was that people think that I am extroverted when I am actually introverted. So I get my energy from being by myself, like you, Gwen.
Same. Yeah, same.
I love that. Yeah. So one other thing that I think is very strange for Romania, but also for the world, is that I don't like coffee or tea or soda. Please don't hate me. I love the people who love all coffee and tea and soda.
Yeah.
So I have very nice Polish pottery, which is a staple of JV, but I have water in it.
So wait, yeah, is water your favorite beverage?
It's the only beverage I drink.
That's the only, juice?
Well, sometimes when I'm at a hotel and they have really good juice, I drink it, but it's very rare.
Okay.
I don't normally drink it at home or when I'm on the plane or somewhere. I stay away from juice. Yeah,
okay. What about sparkling water? Do you like sparkling or just still?
It's a new discovery, and it's good.
Oh yeah.
If it's cold, it's refreshing. Yes, sparkling water is a good idea.
Oh wow, I did not know this about you. That's okay. We all have our things. It's amazing. Yes.
I love all the people who love coffee and tea. Yeah, and I like the smell of coffee and tea.
See, you can smell it all day long. Well, I want to know, DU, where does the nickname DU come from? Where did that start?
Oh, it started so long ago. I got this nickname from my classmate in high school. I think we were in the 11th grade here in Romania. And at that time, we were a circle of friends that had 3 Dianas in it. Dianas.
Yeah.
And we just needed a way to separate ourselves and to identify ourselves. And my classmate started to call me, she always called me Diuțule, which is the diminutive of Diana, and without the tsule, which is the diminutive part, it's DU. And then she was like, it's DU because Diana is unique, even if you share the name with other friends. So it started from my friend Simona.
Okay. Yeah, because I've always known you as DU. I think it was even more recently. I'm like, oh, her actual name is Diana.
Yeah.
Hello. Well, I love that. I love a good nickname and one that like sticks with you for your whole life, you know?
Yeah, it's quite fun. It's over 25 years ago that this happened.
Wow. And does Bogdan call you DU?
So initially, when he fell in love with me, no, I was Diana because nobody else was calling me Diana, and he wanted to be the one who called me Diana. But now he calls me both Diu and Diana.
Okay. Okay. So,
And Babe and so many other
oh yeah,
nicknames.
babe. Yeah. That's a good one. So you live in Bucharest now, but that's not always where you lived. Where did you grow up?
So I was born and raised in Arad, in the very western part of Romania, very close to the border with Hungary. And this was actually a great place to grow up in because I was born during communist Romania in 1981. So the 80s in our country were very difficult. Actually, I do have another fun fact. I learned how to read at a lamp, at the light of a lamp, because we didn't have electricity many nights in a row.
Wow.
And I learned how to read at the light of a lamp. So the perk of being born there was that there was more exposure to Christianity in my side of the country. And once a month, my dad and I, not my mom because she was born in another part of the country, but my dad and I were allowed to leave the country 50 kilometers into Hungary with a special permit because we were born 50 kilometers within the other side of the country.
Oh.
So for some reason, there was this exchange for people born, I think they were assuming that we had family on the other side, but it was like heaven for me because once a month, my dad and I would go there and I liked sodas back then and they had this very yucky soda now that I think about it, but that I thought was so delicious and they had candy that we didn't have and they had very good bread. So it was great to grow up in that area.
Nice. Oh, that's good. I like that. Those are fun memories to have with your dad. So were your parents also believers or?
Yes. I was so blessed, Gwen, to grow up in a family that loves and loved Jesus. And one of the things that I always tell the teenagers when we meet is, for me, I was shown what a life with Christ looks like in my family. And I saw my parents, and to this day, I still see my parents reading their Bibles every morning and every night. They pray together on their knees, which is so great to watch. Even 2 weeks ago when we were in Arad after the fall conference, I saw them kneeling by their bed. And it's just so dear to me to see them doing that. And my grandparents were people of strong faith who suffered for Jesus. My great-grandfather was in prison because of his faith in Jesus. And it's so amazing because God used very difficult circumstances in our country's history to bring our family to Him. And one of the stories that we have on my mother's side, my great-grandfather went to the Second World War, to the Tatras, to the area where JV has the European headquarters, and there he got the Bible from another Romanian man. And he read the Bible and he met Jesus in the Word. Wow. And he came back home a changed man.
That's amazing. And then also your brother is a believer and he's with Josiah Venture for people who know Darius. So that's like, I love it. I love a family on mission, you know?
Yes, it's so good.
Yes. So then in Bucharest now, and Bucharest is in like the southeastern part of Romania. Like what is it like to live there? And you just shared that your family are believers. What's the gospel? Are people open to the gospel in Romania?
That's a great question, Gwen. So the spiritual climate in this part of the country is quite different. And 13 years ago, in September, I celebrated 13 years of following God, really, to this part of the country. It was hard to leave my wonderful circle and life in Arad. But I had a strong sense of calling to this area. And like I said, the spiritual climate here is different. In Bucharest, Bucharest is officially a city of 2 million people, but there are about 4 million people actually living in this city. So it's a huge city, and less than 1% of the people in this city are followers of Jesus. But the reality, and just recently we were talking with some pastors, the reality is even darker because it's not even 1%. It's 0.001. Because, let's say statistics. I just recently read that there are over 375,000 students between 15 and 21 in Bucharest, which is kind of the age we're focusing on, right, with Josiah Venture. And if we had 1%, we'd have 3,000, my husband is the one with the numbers, but I think over 3,700 students would be followers of Jesus in this city. Well, we have extremely few youth groups with very few young people who know Jesus. So we know that that is unfortunately not the reality. So this city is a very big city with a lot of intensity, with a lot of opportunities for jobs. It's the place where people come to make it in our country. They have money, but it's very poor spiritually. There is not an interest even in other faiths, not just Christianity, because people are focused on career, on making it, on purchasing real estate, all of those things. They consume people in our settings. So I struggled in the beginning with what can I do in this city, and it's the needs are so huge. What difference can a woman make or a family make here? But we see how important it is that people who follow Jesus, who carry His light and hope and message of repentance, live here with our relationships with our neighbors. We are the only followers of Jesus that we know in our neighborhood, in our compound.
Oh wow!
And specifically in our area, there are over 75,000 people that have moved in the last 10 years, but probably much more than 75,000 because not everybody is documented here yet. And we don't know of any church or house group happening in this area right now.
How many churches are in Bucharest? Do you know?
I don't know, but I know that for sure not enough.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And yes, I count, for example, my church in Arad, the church where I got baptized. We had over 1,000 members, and we had many churches in my home city of almost 200,000 people. Well, we are here, and our church is about 80 to 100 people that join us regularly on Sundays and are part of a house church during the week. And what we know for a fact is that in the last over 20 years, none of the churches that were planted here in Bucharest were able to purchase any building or build any kind of building. So our church actually recently was able to purchase a wedding venue, and we will use it. We'll change it a little bit and use it as our home. We say it for the mission, and it just sparkled some conversations about the need for more churches and home churches all around our city.
That's beautiful, even to think about a wedding venue being turned into a place where the bride of Christ can be magnified. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
That's
I love
cool.
that too.
Wow. So, but when you moved to Bucharest, were you already doing ministry before? Like, let's go back, and I would love to hear how God called you into full-time ministry. Your parents were Christians, and so I would love to hear even your journey of faith and how that connected to becoming a full-time missionary.
Thank you, Gwen, for taking me down the memory lane. Because actually, this year is very special for me personally and for my walk with Christ. In this year, on November 5th, so in about a month from now, these days, I am celebrating 30 years since I got baptized.
Wow.
I got baptized when I was 14, so now you know I'm 44. And also on October 1st, I celebrated 20 years of being in full-time ministry, and specifically full-time ministry with Josiah Venture. So
Wow.
a little over 20 years ago, I started to fundraise, and I started on that journey. And I'm sharing that because I have a story connected to that. Honestly, I did not think about being in full-time ministry when I was in my 20s. I did not want to be in full-time ministry when I was in my 20s. I had decided for Jesus when I was very young because of the example of my parents and my grandparents. And I knew that following Jesus was serious. And at the time when I decided to follow Jesus, it was still under communism, and I had to count the cost. And I knew, you know what, I might have to pay with my career, with my life, with my comfort, with my relationships if I decide for Jesus. So it was a very serious decision. It remained serious. And then when I was almost 9, freedom came into my country. And actually that's a very cute story because missionaries started to come in the 90s. And I realized that I was understanding what they were saying if they were speaking English. Yes. So then I started to translate for all those pastors and as a 9-year-old.
Did you not realize you spoke English? Like, did you not?
I think it was a gift from God. And I still think that my English is a gift from God that if I use for His glory, then He's going to keep giving it to me. It's kind of contractual.
Amazing.
It's a love gift, of course, but it's not obtained with effort. It was a gift from Him. And but what it did is it exposed me to the Word of God more deeply. And it gave me a passion for the Word to be shared and spread, and for the love of Jesus to be shared and spread. So, but I loved school. I loved learning. And so I went on the path of career. I was the first one in my family, even in my extended family, to graduate from college, from university, because of the whole communist setting. So it was a huge honor to be able to do that. And then I did 3 years. I studied psychology, and then I needed to do 3 years of supervised practice. And during our communist regime, our dictator at the time, Ceausescu, closed all the schools of psychology because he was afraid of psychologists reading his mind or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was one of the first generations to graduate from psychology back then at the beginning of the 2000s. And I did 3 years of supervised practice at the psychiatric hospital in Arad. And as soon as I got my license for practice, God invited me into ministry. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And what? I have to beg for money? Because this is what they thought fundraising was. No way. I'm not going to do that. There was so much resistance in me. But I love the gentleness of God in my story. And He brought some amazing missionaries. They were so kind with me. And one of the families, they were missionaries with Josiah Venture. They were my first uplinks bosses. It was Tad and Hannah Moore. And they helped me understand how fundraising and support raising, it is not begging for money. And I remember when I told my parents about this calling, they loved the idea of me serving Jesus. They couldn't understand why I had to do it full time. Because they were like, but you're already serving Jesus. You're already discipling girls all the time. Our house was always packed with girls. And they were like, why do you have to do this full time? Just do your psychology open practice, and then you do it on the side. And I mean, it would have been a great plan, but it was not what my heart was beating for at that time anymore. And my family, all like the extended family, were like, whoa, this is such a bad idea. I mean, she's on a great path ahead. She has so many opportunities. How can she say that? No to that. And then I could hear my mom talking with my aunt saying, I cannot fight with God. So God used my extended family's resistance to this to change my parents' heart.
Wow.
And eventually, everybody accepted it. But it was quite a journey of getting into full-time ministry. And we believe, as followers of Jesus, we believe that everybody is in ministry. And we're all called to be disciples of Jesus and to make disciples of Jesus, no matter what our jobs are.
Right.
But I'm very thankful that I can do this vocationally as well, like to be a full-time missionary and a full-time servant of God. And my days are full and intense and fantastic and hard, and it's the full package. It's
the
wonderful.
full package. You live the full life, do you? You really do. I love it. Hello, friends. I'm quickly interrupting this episode to tell you about our online prayer room. Every major spiritual movement in history has been fueled by passionate and persistent prayer. Our team knows this and has experienced firsthand that prayer is essential to seeing God move mountains, change lives, and transform society. The Josiah Venture Prayer Room exists to deepen your connection with God and equip you to pray for his movement across Central and Eastern Europe. You can download our free mobile app for iPhone and Android today, or you can go to the website pray.josiahventure.com. The links to these resources are in the show notes. We hope your time of prayer will be the best part of your day. We expect you will leave the prayer room feeling more refreshed than when you went in because you have been in the presence of God. And now, back to the episode. And so you were saying earlier that it's been 30 years since you were baptized, 20 years with Josiah Venture. What? And so how did you even first hear about Josiah Venture? Was that through the couple that you mentioned, Todd and Hannah Moore?
Yes. So it was in 1998. This was 7 years before I got into ministry. And in 98, I was, at that time, I started the VBS, but it lasted the whole summer in my grandparents' village. And I was loving it so much. I was creating my own lesson plans, and I was even drawing the lessons, the pictures. We didn't have much at all in the 90s in Romania. And I had a friend who had the books from CEF. It's a Child Evangelism Fellowship. It's a ministry for children.
Yeah.
So she was giving me the scraps, and then my dad made like a flannel board, is it called? So I was making my lessons and then gluing the scraps, and I loved it so much. It was consuming my days and nights, imagining games and songs. It was just fantastic. And then I heard about a camp organized, I don't know by what organization, but it was an English camp, and it was an opportunity to learn more about the life of Christ. I think the person that advertised it to me knew that it was an evangelistic camp, but I actually was very curious about learning more about the life of Christ and the strategy of Christ. And we had very few resources on that back then. So I decided to go to this camp. I was so thankful that my parents paid for it. And I was 17 at the time, and the leader, Todd Moore, from the camp, he said, we're going to gather a few people during the free afternoons, and we're going to go through the strategy of Christ. And this was what I wanted to do. And at that point, honestly, I didn't care about the lost very much. It was all about, I want to learn. I want to, it was a lot of head knowledge at this point. I cared about the children in the village, but not about, young people.
Whatever,
they were not in my spectrum. It's so strange that we cannot see people at times. And so it was such an amazing discovery for me. And then the next year, he did another camp with Josiah Venture, just one camp. At that time, we didn't have a ministry here in Romania with JV. And I went again, and this time I was asked to help, which I felt so honored to help in 99. And I brought a classmate because this guy, Todd Moore, said, Dio, who in your circle of friends, like ongoing life, not just my summer life at my grandparents' village, but in your life, who needs Jesus? And I loved my desk mate, Roxana, and I said, hey, Rox, do you want to come with me to camp? And she did. And she did not decide for Jesus, but it was such an important experience for me to be aware of her and not to be at camp just for me.
Right.
But to learn how to change my perspective and start seeing the people my age at that time and their need for Christ. So I heard about JV from camp, and then I started to serve as an intern. And it was fantastic. We started to do, 7, 8 camps a summer.
Yes,
They
wow.
were, it was back to back to
Yeah,
back to back.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they were the best summers, such formative times.
I can imagine all the things that you were not only learning head knowledge about who Jesus was, but then the practical, like seeing people. I love that you said that your eyes were open to actually seeing the people around you and having compassion for them. Like that's how Jesus like looked out on the crowds and had compassion for them, and how God opened your eyes for that. Wow. So, okay, so we have your background story. I love going down memory lane, DU. So this is whatever I like think about the questions to ask people. I'm like, I hope they're seeing God's hand in their life. Like I can see God's hand in your life from your grandparents, like your grandfather receiving that Bible during the war, all the way to where you are now. Like it's just an incredible to see how God works in our lives. And so speaking of God working in our lives, you then met your husband. I love the story of you and Bogdan. So that's why
Yes.
we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. So again, I think it's amazing too, like all the numbers that are lining up this year, the 30 years of baptism, 20 years of ministry, and 10 years of marriage, right?
Yes, 10 years of good and growing marriage, we
Good
say.
and growing marriage. So how did that begin? How did this love story begin?
Oh, Gwen. So I was 31 and a half when God moved me to this big city. And it was exciting and fearful. At that time, I was so focused on finding my way around. I still had the old phone back then with the buttons,
Yeah.
where you have to get to C, you press A, B, and then you get to C.
Yes.
And so there were no maps, Google Maps, any of those things. So I had physical maps when I was walking around the city. And I had many needs. My dad drove me here. We had a trailer packed with not all my stuff, with part of my stuff. Oh, he was a good father. He's a good father.
Yeah.
So is my husband, carrying all my stuff all around the city in our moves. One of the things that I left in my parents' house was my chair with Jesus. And I forgot to say, so Bogdan I met at church, but there was nothing romantic. He was just another guy, tall, handsome, another guy. And I was out and about. I don't know what I was doing. And then I came home and I found this IKEA poang. It's one of the bouncing chairs. Anyways,
Yeah,
I don't know how
yeah.
you call it in English, from IKEA. And it was assembled in my room. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And then my roommate that night said, well, Bogdan heard, I don't know how he heard, probably I shared it at church or something. He heard that you don't have your chair with Jesus, that it's in Arad, and he decided to go to IKEA to buy you this chair, and he assembled it on the hallway of our apartment, outside of the apartment, and then brought it in as a gift for you. And I thought, whoa,
Wow.
what a nice guy.
What a nice
But
guy.
still nothing happened, because that summer we did a camp together, and him and I led this. The camp was set a little different, and he was the guy who was always about the competition, about the winning,
Sports, yeah.
Let's have fun and let's win, and there's no room for for error. Let's do our best. And I would be like, well, let's do our best, but let's have harmony and see, is there anyone who has a broken leg? Maybe they can also play. But I was like, no, we don't want them on the field. So we did not get along. There was no romantic spark at all. So it took a while. We did run. So, and at the end of that summer, so after camp, not amazing chemistry, but that, I thought he was cute, but nothing except that he was annoying me. And I think I was annoying him for sure. So at the end of the summer, I wanted to run a half marathon. So I wrote to like 20, 30 people in my church, hey, does anyone want to train for the next, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks for the half marathon? Does anyone want to train? And let's meet on Saturday morning at 9 at this park. And the only person that came was Bogdan. So I'm like, should I run with him? Should I not? You know what?
Yeah.
We are here. We can do a 7K, a 7-kilometer around the lake. So we did that. And then we actually started to train 2 or 3 times a week. And it was so much fun. Again, still nothing romantic at this point, but it started a friendship between us. And it took a few months, I think almost a year. No, I don't know how long. We know the dates, but I need to calculate them right now. Anyway, and then eventually I realized, I think I like him a little more than I'm thinking that I like him. And it's hard to be honest with yourself because at this point I had been single for 33 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to encourage myself. Also, I was protecting myself, whatever that means. And I was protecting God's image in my eyes. Like, I'm not, if God will do this, then something else will happen in this way. And I was in self-protection and God protection mode during that season. And at that time, at the same time, he realized that he kind of liked me too.
Oh.
So he invited me out and told me, but I kind of said no, but kind of like a yes, but a no. So we didn't start anything.
Like a maybe.
But we did but we did grow in our relationship in the next few months. And then that summer, we officially started the relationship.
Amazing.
We had such a fun growing together journeys. I was almost 34 when I got married. I got married the month before I turned 34. And at that point, I had not shared a bed with anyone. I had not, I had roommates, but I had my own room. So all of a sudden, I had this person in my space. And I told you at the beginning, I'm an introverted person. And we lived in this tiny studio. And he was working from home with his Skype calls at the time.
Yeah.
We were using Skype.
Yes.
And I was with my Skype calls. So many times, one of us was in the bathroom and one of us was in the room, because that room was everything. Was the bedroom, the living room, the kitchenette, whatever that was. One of us had to be in the bathroom, and it worked, but it was such a journey of learning how to be husband and wife, how to become one, and learning to see each other in this closer setting and see the gifts that God put in that person and see that person as God's precious creation. And like for me, I'm saying that because just recently I realized that I was struggling so much with our differences in our first year of marriage. And then I had a special moment when the Holy Spirit it felt like opened my eyes to see this man that he gave me and to celebrate him and to say, wow, he is God's beloved son that he gave me as a lifelong partner. And if I only focus on the differences, I'm going to destroy this marriage. I'm going to squish this beautiful person that is in front of me, near me. And, I cannot, I was so blinded before, and it's easy to be distracted by the things you don't like. It's easy for me to be distracted by the things I don't like and focus so much on that rather than celebrate all the good things that God poured into this person and in our relationship. So that really changed the tone and the atmosphere in our marriage.
Yes, I love to hear that, like your perspective change. And I think too, as you were an older single, and I feel that, and I always admired you for continuing to pray for a husband, and that the Lord provides. And then you're married now, and you've been married for 10 years now, but how God is still teaching you some beautiful lessons. He'll never stop teaching us beautiful lessons if we're open to receive, just to pray about those things and to ask God for a different perspective. So wow. And also, so I know you had prayed for a husband for a long time, and the Lord provided Bogdan. And then for years and years and years and years, you were also praying and hoping that the Lord would gift you with a child. And so I would just love for you to share some of that story, because I know your son, Adam, is truly a miracle. And so I would love for you to share just how it was for you to receive a gift so beautiful after years of praying, and how the Lord met you during that time.
I love this question, Gwen. Thank you. And it's again taking me down the memory lane, because when one of the differences that I was talking about in my relationship with Bogdan was that I come from a strong lineage of faith. I had so much pride in my lineage, pride that I had to repent of. And Bogdan is coming from a great family, but his dad is an atheist still. And his mom is a nominal Orthodox believer. When we got married, we really wanted our marriage to point to Jesus. And one of the phrases that God gave us before we got married was that we're going to start a new lineage of faith. And we, years went by and there was no lineage. I mean, then we thought, well, maybe all the young people that we are investing in, that we're discipling, maybe they are our children, our spiritual children, which they are. But Lord, is there something more to our story? And I confess, after I turned 40, I did not have much faith. And Bogdan has the gift of faith. In our journey with infertility, it helped that we were in different seasons. And every time one was encouraging the other. And after my 40th birthday, it was more Bogdan encouraging me and saying, you know what? God will write his story for our lives no matter what. And he went to a men's retreat with a man from our church, and he said, I told before all those men that I believe that God can give us a child. And I was 42 at the time. And I was like, oh, babe.
Oh, boy.
Oh, babe. Oh, don't say those things. I mean, if God doesn't, because I'm protecting God, and my emotions too. So I'm like, if God doesn't do it, then, he won't be seen as great by everyone else. And Bogdan was like, but this is what I believe, babe. And I didn't believe him. And I felt like Sarah, kind of laughing, like, as if.
Yeah.
And what was hard on our journey was that I did get pregnant when I was 42, and we lost that pregnancy. And that in itself was a miracle. Even the fact that I was able to get pregnant and get that baby to 12 weeks.
Wow.
And, then this journey of healing started, and I realized that miscarriage is such a silent grief, and there is so much to unpack there as well. We explored many possibilities, as people usually do. We did a lot of investigation. We ended up not trying an IVF, but we did try other things, and nothing helped. And it was a beautiful Monday morning, and my body was not doing its regular things, and Bogdan was like, I'm just gonna go and get a test. And I'm like, I'm so done with all the tests. I don't want to do it. Babe, I just don't want to do it. And he's like, you know what? I'm still gonna go. So he went to buy some groceries and brought home a test. And I took the test, and I went and I did laundry. I didn't even wait to see the result, because I was so convinced it was just going to be another disappointment. And I was not ready for another disappointment.
Right.
And he was there. We have this bench at the edge of our bed. And he was there. And I'm like, right, it's negative. This was me. Right, it's negative. And he's like, no. And he went, no. And I remember, I was like, what? What? And then it was another journey of faith, because we say our journey with infertility is a journey of faith, because I had so many fears, and I wanted to get to the 12th week, when we lost our other pregnancy, and then the 16th week, and then, you get the gender, and then you don't really want to get attached, because what if? And then, we got to 26 weeks, and I was like, okay, kids survive if they're born 26 weeks old. I have chills, we remember. But it was so much self-protection on that journey. And what God was constantly inviting me to was, do you trust me? Trust me. And the song that he gave me several songs and several verses on that journey, but the song that he gave me is, God, You're So Good. It's one of the childhood songs, but, it's now sang very beautiful by current, contemporary artists. But I had to praise God and say, You're so good, even if this child doesn't make it to our world, into our arms. And even when I went to my baby shower, because it was not a surprise baby shower because of the chaotic dates in our lives.
Yes, I know.
And I was getting ready, and I listened and proclaimed the same worship song, God, You're so good. And when you didn't give us the baby, you are so good. And you're so good when you give us this baby. And he's been so good with having Adam. And he's just this cheerful, flexible, super sweet kid that brings us so much noise and joy and clutter in our lives. We love him so much. He filled our lives and house.
Oh gosh. I was getting emotional just as you were sharing that because it's so beautiful and God is so good. And I did get to meet Adam at our last fall conference and he is precious. Precious. Oh, and is he a year old now? Or how old is he?
Yes,
he just turned a year, right?
A year and 1 month, 13 months old.
13
He's
months
so
old.
cute. Yesterday, he walked for the first time all by himself.
Oh.
We were in a meeting at the Starbucks. I know I don't drink coffee, but I meet at Starbucks a lot. And we were in the conversation, Bogdan and I, with this other couple. And then we see he's not by his stroller where he was hanging out. He's in the middle of the Starbucks walking by himself. So that was so cute.
Wow. Oh,
so not just 2 steps, like he did a full walk all around Starbucks. So fun.
Where is he going? What is he doing?
Quite an independent dude.
Yes. And that's beautiful too, to think of the lineage that will carry on through your family, through the Antons there in Romania. So we're coming to the end and I still have some more questions for you, but I just wanted to also ask, with all of your discipleship relationships and the ministry that you have with young women, and I'm sure that the young women in your life who you're discipling, even during this time of hoping to get pregnant and then for a son to arrive, like how was that for you as you're managing all of your emotions and also having all of these discipleship relationships and ministry going on? And I would just love to hear how ministry is going in Romania for you right now in your current season.
The beauty of being in ministry and discipleship is that you live life together. And they were part of my journey, and even the teenage girls were such an encouragement to me. Throughout all those years, I had different generations, and it's so great because some of my first generations of disciples here in Bucharest are now part of our youth group team. So they're leaders that are helping us disciple others. And then with having Adam, they're so involved in Adam's life, and Adam has missed 1 youth group meeting. Last Friday, when actually intentionally I decided to stay home with him because he's been sleeping everywhere almost every night of the week, and we thought he needs a little bit more structure now that he's over 1 year old. But he's such an amazing missionary kid, I have to say. Anyways, going back to the discipleship stories, one of my most encouraging things that happened this year in 2025 is that 3 of the girls that I'm discipling, 3 teenagers, accepted Jesus for real, I say.
For real,
in February, March, and April this year. And it was just beautiful, Quinn, beautiful to see how the Spirit moved them and help them see themselves and their need for the forgiveness of Jesus, and then decide, I want to follow Jesus for the rest of my life, no matter the cost. And one of my girls is getting baptized on November 2nd. And yes, I'm so happy for her. And her faith is strong, and she's such a witness to so many of her classmates. And what I love about my 3 girls is that they all bring their friends to youth group. They're not ashamed of the gospel, and they're growing both in their knowledge of who God is and who they are in Christ, but also for real in their identity and how they live out their identity as missionaries, as carriers of Jesus' good news amongst their classmates and peers and sports groups and all the other things that they are doing throughout the week. So that's very encouraging.
Wow, that is so encouraging and just a beautiful example of, again, God's faithfulness and how he's used you through the years and how he brings people close to him. Baptisms are about to happen and
Yes.
It's
the
amazing.
Best kind of celebration. And I'm so thankful this one is specifically November, 30 years after my own baptism.
Wow.
So that's quite a full circle. I love that so much.
Yes. Oh, I love a good full circle moment. Those are great. Those are great. Well, my last question for you, DU, is as you have worked so closely with so many young women and youth group and ministry and young people. So what message of hope would you give to young people today?
That's a big question,
It's a big one, yeah.
Gwen. I feel responsible. I think the first thing that comes to mind is that Jesus is worth everything. And at 44, after walking 4 years with him, I have no regrets. Through the valleys, through the mountaintops, it was him who was the rock of my life, of my heart, of my being. And I guess my encouragement is not to be ashamed of him. And there are so many messages that are spoken and proclaimed everywhere. But the best message is who Jesus is, his love, his truth, that he gives us the privilege of carrying in our world.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just over here like, I just want to talk to DU all day and hear all of her wisdom. And so thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the years that you have given to Jesus, and your love for him is so evident and so rooted. I just think of how rooted your faith is. And so thank you for being example, not only to all the young women in Romania, but also to me and other, our whole Josiah Venture family, honestly. So, and thank you for being on the podcast today. I'm just like over here like, oh, I'm getting like red-eyed, but because
Thank you so much for having me. And you are such an amazing host. And it felt like I was at the coffee shop having my water with you and enjoying you. And thank you for the ministry that you're doing through this podcast. It's a gift to our world.
I love it. It's my favorite thing I do. So, well, thank you for being on the podcast today, DU. And I love you, friend. And I'm excited for more people to listen to your story.
I love you too, Gwen, and thank you so much for having me.
Yep.
And have an amazing fall and winter. Thanksgiving is coming, Christmas is coming. Enjoy.
Thank you. You too. I love it. And everyone listening, enjoy the holidays. Bye. Thank you for listening to Josiah Venture Stories. For more information about who we are and our vision and mission, visit us at josiahventure.com and follow us on social media. If you have any questions about this episode or would like to get in touch with our guest, please email social@josiahventure.com. To help more people hear about this podcast, please leave us an honest written review or share this episode on your social media. Thank you, friends, and have a blessed day.